I can't pay this. I'm not even working in what I studied for. What the hell is the point of all of this?
Hey man, what's wrong?
Fiddlesticks. I can't pay for this. I went to college for 4 years and I had a great education, but I'm not even working in a job, connected to the major that I got after graduating from college.
Well, hold up. I mean, we can totally find a solution to your problems. Let's sit down and talk about it. Okay, so first of all, what's your major?
Urban planning.
Well, that's an amazing major. Why are you not working in that field? Can you not find a job?
A little of both. I mean, I've tried, but you need a lot of experience right off the bat, which I don't have. I've done 2 internships, and that still wasn't enough for me to get an entry-level position. I have a few buddies who went on to complete their masters, and they're working, some pretty high-level urban planning jobs. But aside from that, it's pretty tough in the industry. It's a lot of bureaucracy.
Well, have you ever considered doing your master's?
I have, but, that's just more money I have to add onto what I already owe. So at the end of everything, it's probably not very feasible.
California is really impacted. Have you ever considered moving out of state?
Honestly, I have, but, it's a complete uprooting of your life. I have no idea what awaits for me in other states, and this has been my home forever. I mean, it's kind of a tough decision. Also, why is the Oprah magazine covering the cat meme?
Hey, well, first of all, tell me about your experience at UCSD.
It is a great school. I had an awesome experience, a good education. But again, I think the one thing that kind of outweighs all the positives is graduating with a heavy debt on your head. So that's, definitely something I should have thought thrice about before joining college.
Okay, so we can outweigh the pros and the cons. So give me some pros.
I got a great education. I have a bachelor's degree, so that's carries some weight when you apply for jobs, but that's really all the pros.
Okay, now tell me some of the cons.
I'm in debt.
Mm.
30 grand.
Mm.
That's more than divorcees after they lose their house in a gambling casino. That's really bad.
Mm.
And that's the situation I find myself in.
You know what? I think there's actually more pros than what you mentioned. You met your wife, you learned to live independently, you had a great education, you met really great friends.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think you're right. Cynicism aside, at the end of the day, I've made myself a contributing asset to the American job market. And, who knows? Maybe a year or two go by after, consequently looking, and I'm sure I'll be able to pick up something in my field. After all, I guess I'm not so... After all, I guess I'm not so... I guess I really am not so...
So now that we spoke about the pros, let's jump onto the cons. You mentioned that you're $30,000 in debt. How do you think this affects alumni across the country?
Oh, massively. Just personally, it's affected me as far as getting my life going, having this debt behind me. And then also, here is just another example to back that up. But student loan debt alone is the reason why 13% of Americans have decided not to have children anymore. And, back in when our parents were younger, that was never an issue. Student loan debt would not be a sole reason as to why you couldn't start a family. So that's pretty dramatic.
So how do you feel that immediately when you went into UCSD, you weren't able to choose your own student loan provider?
That kind of felt like getting the rug pulled out from under your feet because you don't have any time to do research on these companies. not only do they have a pretty bad repertoire of screwing over customers and and debtors, but yeah, I mean it's unexpected. You don't really know what you're signing up for, but the whole system is essentially sending you to school because you kind of have to. I mean, it's just not only what's expected of you culturally. Don't really mean to get into the whole first generation, deal, but yeah, it's pretty unfortunate. And let me tell you about those student loan servicing companies, those goddamn student loan servicing companies. You call them, and what they do is they offer forbearance, right? So you don't make any payments, they make it sound short and sweet, but what they're doing is they're tackling on interest so that you don't have to pay anything, but when you do, then you get screwed over even harder.
Okay, so you went to UCSD right after high school. Most people, or many people, will go to a community college for 2 years, get their AA, do a few things, take a few classes, and then transfer to a 4-year university. Why did you jump right off the boat?
Great question. I think a lot of that had to do with follow the leader mentality, but at the same time, everything as far as my schooling, and I was also in a college jumpstart course in high school, essentially led me to getting into a 4-year. Not saying I didn't have a choice, I just didn't think there'd be more out there, and that was the ultimate goal that we've all been striving for. So that to me, instead of looking at it as another option, I looked at it as something I shouldn't do. It was either a 4-year or nothing. And that's why I ended up at a 4-year college.
So you mentioned you were in college prep courses. Did they ever tell you that you were going to be this much in debt? Did they ever talk to you about student loans? Did they ever talk to you about taking out loans, subsidized loans, unsubsidized loans? Did they ever tell you how to deal with it after college?
As much as I would like to defend my instructors and teachers, they really didn't. They kind of threw us into this, but not really to the benefit of them. Obviously, they have to do their job, but this never was brought up as a big issue, as something we would face. It was more like you have to get in, and once you're in, you complete it so that you get that good job, that flashy job that only college graduates get, and you'll be able to pay off your student loans easy peasy. But that wasn't the case. That's definitely not the case. And now this is another little fact here, right from Business Insider. This is just it's a new stat that just came out, I guess. 40% of borrowers could default on their student loans by 2023. In 4 years. I'm afraid I could be that 40%. But yeah, to answer your initial question, that was not something that was heavily placed on us. It was really given no light, no importance as far as the certainty of jobs and income production in the future post-graduation. I never really discussed it, and we all just thought, once you graduate, there's an open job market. But now we realize that that's not how these things work. There's an equilibrium, there's ups and downs, especially in the primarily in the job market. We're all kind of subject to economic shifts and turns. So I think that's something that they need to make students aware, is that no matter where you are in life, whether you are a college graduate, you have a master's degree, or you have a PhD, we really are just subject to the economy of the country. And depending on where that economy lies, that's essentially where your fate, also depending on what field or what you work in, what you study in, you'll end up. So that's kind of my take on it.
So do you ever regret the path you take? Do you ever regret the journey you've had to bring you to where you are now?
Not really. There is some regret, like I said, but that's more so because I didn't know. Because I didn't know what I was signing up for, and it's really just the money issue. But as far as do I regret the experience, the education, the campus that I went to, absolutely not. it was awesome all the way through, you know. But yeah.
Well, ultimately, I think that you do have this terrible con that's like a constant burden on your shoulders, but you have these like amazing pros that have ultimately shaped you into the person you are today. I mean, those are like a full 5 years that you spent like out in San Diego while your family was living elsewhere, and I think that it without those 5 years, like you would be in a completely different situation than you are now.
And I agree. I can only but agree with you. That's pretty true. You know, I mean, those 5 years, you know, it's essentially, here's where I'm at now. So, you're
So,
right.
would you say that talking to me created a positive outlook on how you see student loans and your current debt and your four-year university in general?
Oh, yeah. No, I think so. I was pretty down in the dumps earlier. Just letting those numbers, you know, really get to me. But ultimately, I don't regret it. I do agree that it's a little bit of a predatory system, so you should be aware as to what you're getting into before you sign off on those loans. But it's necessary to get an education if you don't come from a high-income family, so, you know, you be the judge of that. You know, whether it's worth the risk and whether it's something that you need to pursue for your life. And I felt like at the time, after high school, that I needed to pursue a college education. So, but yes, thank you for your enlightening
Well,
words.
it was very nice speaking
Oh,
to you.
You as
Sayonara,
well.
Spidey.